Good morning. This video is about ESP, or extrasensory perception, and for those of you that do not know what that is, it's referring to being receptive to anything outside of our physical senses. And what I'm going to share with you is an experience that I've had that is the closest thing that I can provide to ESP, and the strongest example that I can provide from my own personal life experience. Before I can really tell you about that, I'm going to have to give you a little bit of background information on myself and my personal life. My parents separated when I was about 3.5 years old, and after they separated, me and my father remained in contact for the most part pretty consistently. He'd call and check up on me often, and when I was about 9 years old, he came to the United States and spent a good, I'd say, week with me. We had gone to the Bay Area, visited Chinatown. I got to meet my grandmother, my uncle, and things like that. And I remember he came to my school to see a school play. Now, I do remember that on his last day of being there, that he had taken a photo with me near the train station before he boarded, and I watched him as he got on board, and he turned around and looked at me before going inside, and I knew then that it was the last time I was going to see him, and that I wouldn't hear from him again. And I remember I cried because I knew this, and I had only been 9 at the time. Anyway, in October of 2006, I received a letter. It was given to me by somebody in my family that had found it stashed away in my grandpa's things after he had passed. And it was a letter that had been written when I was very young. I had never seen it before, so it was just given to me as, I guess, a memoir. And it was to my mother, and my father was just, I guess he had sent her money, and he had told her to remind me that he loved me. And I remember I cried a lot that month of October 2009. It was a hard month. And I mean, already so many years had passed, you wouldn't think that it would bother me as much as it did, but for some reason that month had definitely gotten to me. Anyway, in February of 2008, I had woke up as I did every morning and got ready and went to the office. I was payroll specialist at the time, so I processed payroll on like a weekly basis. And I had walked into my office, sat down at my desk, and I felt this overwhelming sense of like excitement. And the closest thing I can relate that to is probably like when you're a child and you're getting ready to go on a big trip. Maybe you're going to Disneyland, or it's going to be the next day is the first day of school, and you're so excited. You got butterflies in your belly, and you can't sleep because you're just so excited because of what's going to happen. You know that tomorrow's a big day, or something like that. So you're just so excited. So I had a feeling that was similar to that, and it lasted and grew and grew. And I remember that I walked around the office and I was telling people, I go, something's going to happen, because I could not for the life of me figure out what was coming, because on my agenda, it was clear. Nothing cool was going to happen. I had nothing to be excited over. Tomorrow, as far as I knew, was a regular day. The weeks ahead, nothing was planned. So I just walked around the office, and I told people, I go, I've got this feeling like something's going to happen. And then it got to a point, as I visited the receptionist, I got to the coordinators, I told my boss, and I think I even asked people if they felt the same way, to see if I was the only one. And I was. Anyway, I got home I went home for lunch, and I checked my MySpace account, and for the first time in 15 years, I had heard from my father. And of course, I was overwhelmed with emotion. He had said he was so sorry, and he pleaded for my forgiveness, and he told me he couldn't sleep after he had found me. And they had searched for me for a long time. He named off a couple of addresses that I used to live at. I guess he had tried searching for me through some sort of people finder before, and when he sent something, he never received a response. And he reminded me he loved me, and he said that he had many things to tell me, and that he would like it if I went to Asia to spend time with him, and so that we could talk. I don't remember. I don't think I responded right away because I was too much in shock, and I had to call people and make sure it wasn't a joke, make sure it was real. I hadn't known if my father was even alive or not. And it had crossed my mind that, maybe something had happened since, the 1998 anti-Chinese movement in Indonesia, which is where he was living at the time. So, it crossed my mind. Anyway, so I did respond, and it was him, and I just couldn't. The years that have followed that day in 2008 have been the most enlightening years, and I am so grateful for what I've been given, and I know how lucky I am. I don't take it for granted. But the point is that I did feel something so powerful, just a little while before that happened, and it just kind of surprises me, the kind of connection that we can have with one another, despite time, despite distance, that strength, and I kind of relate it to a very strong connection that must exist between me and my father for me to feel that. And I'm going to go a little step further by mentioning that when I had gone to Asia, amongst the many things that I did learn about why I had not had him in my life, that I had also learned that October of 2006, the same month and year that I had received that letter from a family member, that it was the same month and year that my grandmother had passed away, and that she had asked my father to promise that he would find me. So I thought it was kind of ironic that the very same time that my family was mourning my grandmother, that I was mourning them. I don't know, but I thought that was a very strange connection as well. But either way, to be able to sense something, and I didn't know what, so I'm not going to say that I I knew my father was coming back, or that I knew that my life would change forever, or that I would be handed such a gift that, and not having known precisely what that was, I still knew that something was going to happen, and I still felt it, and the strength of it was so powerful that I can only just tell you that it was. I have no way of really, other than what I mentioned earlier with the example, I have no other way of really expressing how powerful that was, of a sense, and then to have that happen, and then later, of course, discover I have siblings, and I don't know, but it was very, very special to me, and again, with that whole sense, it just kept reminding me about our connection with one another, and maybe we're all connected to one another in minor ways. It kind of reminds me of the video I posted a bit earlier about the universe and the possibility of the universe being alive, and maybe supreme consciousness, and maybe that's something in which connects us all in a way. Anyway, that's just some thoughts of mine and an experience. I know that it's not tangible. I can't prove it to you that it happened. I can't prove that I had those feelings. I can only just tell you about it. That's all I can do. And I mean, there's been other things that I've had, like, I sensed, but I mean, nothing that was so strong that it was, I don't know, physical. It was very physical. The excitement was physical. Everything that I felt was very strong. And, yeah, basically, that's my experience as far as ESP or any sort of extrasensory perception. Now, I know that there's probably many other people that have had experiences like these, and it's probably even possible that they've had minor ones and they kind of dismiss them, or overlook them. And I believe I'm guilty of the same thing. It's pretty easy to do, or not give credit to it, and that's okay, But this is another topic that I do find pretty interesting. So if you do have any sort of experience that kind of leans towards ESP, or you have a video that you posted or a blog that you have out there, I'd enjoy reading it or watching it, and you could post a link in the comments, and I'd be very interested in it. Even if you wanted to send a PM or something like that, that'd be cool. So it's definitely something that I'm interested in hearing about as far as other people's experiences, and if you have any opinions or feedback, then I'm always open to that, as always. And I do want to say thank you, because there was a person who had mentioned ESP in a previous comment thread on another video, and that's why I made this video. So thank you for that, and thank you for watching.